What's up, everybody? I'm Damain Fulmore, a motivational speaker, and typically a lot of times I do content strictly on motivational content, stuff like that. Today I really want to be a little different. I really want to talk about a moment in my life where it was beyond challenging. It was beyond challenging to the point that I was ready to throw the towel in. And for me, the thing about life is, yeah, we all go through challenging moments. Yeah, we all go through points in our life where we're like, you know what? Yeah, it's challenging. Yeah, I want to throw the towel in, but for me, I really was ready to throw the towel in, man. I'll be honest with you. In the year of 2021, it was more challenging for me in that year, more challenging than when I was 9 years old when I lost my mom. More challenging than when I was in the 5th grade, a teacher told me that I would never be able to be a motivational speaker because I stuttered every time I talked. More challenging than growing up as a kid, struggling. More challenging than losing my mom, losing the one thing I love more in life than anything. I remember as a kid walking through those doors and losing the biggest thing I love. More challenging than being in college and working 3 jobs, 70 hours a week and still not making enough money to pay my bills. More challenging than getting an eviction notice when I was still working those 3 jobs, but I still didn't make enough money. More challenging than when I was going to college. I remember a month before graduation losing an aunt and losing my grandmother in weeks apart. More challenging than that. And the thing about life is that we all go through a lot of challenges. We all go through a lot of points in our life where we want to throw the towel in. We want to give up. And in the year of 2021, it's an untold story for me because I went through so many things. I went through moments where I was just like, man, like, what's the point in living? I was like, man, what's the point in living? Because, man, sometimes you really just want to throw the towel in. And in that year of 2021, I did. In the year 2021, I was a public success, but I was a private failure. I was a public success because I was showcasing who I was. I was showcasing the most brightest and the most amazing moments of my life. But I was hiding the deepest, darkest secrets. I was hiding the things that was killing me inside. I was hiding the fact that I was in a relationship where I wasn't cared for. I wasn't loved. I wasn't treated with respect. I wasn't shown what love really was. And I remember last year, one of the things that I would always say in videos was go where you celebrate and not where you tolerate it. And it's crazy because last year when I used to say, go where you celebrate and not where you tolerate it, it's crazy that I would always say that in all of my speeches and say it in all of my videos. But it's funny, but the most time that I used to say that, and I used to expect it to be heard by so many people. I used to expect it to really be captivated by so many different ears. But the one ear that wasn't listening to what was being said was myself. I was allowing myself to stay in a toxic situation. I was allowing myself to stay in a situation where I saw the red flags. And I remember in that moment when I would see all the red flags, and I had one of my friends, he would say, nah, Damian, the red flags was there, but you took the flags, you ran away, and you brought green flags. And the thing about life is sometimes when you see the red flags, sometimes when you see the challenging moments, sometimes we tend to stick in things when we probably should have walked away from it. And I never forget always getting on social media. And the thing about life is sometimes you get those moments and you get those times where you have to tick what's being presented to you. And for me, what was being presented to me was the fact that I shouldn't have been in that relationship. But a lot of times I was asked the question, Damian, why did you stay in that relationship? And for me, it took me some months, it took me some time to really think about why I stayed in that relationship. And for me, I think I stayed in a relationship because I was that guy who, I'm an inspirational speaker, and I think I was trying to fix somebody else's problems that didn't know they existed. For me, I stayed in a relationship where it's hard being in a relationship where you're trying to provide happiness for yourself or you're trying to provide happiness for someone else who can't even define it. Where you're trying to provide love for someone else who doesn't even know the definition of what love is. Where you're trying to be in a relationship with someone where you're trying to show what your purpose is and what you love and what you're most passionate about. And they don't know what passion is. They don't know what purpose is. And for me, I stayed in that relationship not understanding and not realizing that it was killing my mental. Not realizing that I knew who I was before I got in a relationship, but I allowed myself to lose myself. And it's crazy because a lot of times people always say, man, I'll never get in a relationship. And I'll never get in a relationship and allow myself to be lost. I never allowed myself to lose myself in a relationship. Yeah, that's crazy. That was me. I was one of those dudes. I was one of those people that said I would never get in a relationship and lose myself. I'll never allow myself to put myself in that lowest point. I'll never allow a girl, it's crazy. I would never allow a girl to make me lose myself. Yeah, that was me. And I remember all the time where there was one particular day being in a relationship where all I wanted to do was throw the towel in. All I wanted to do was give up. And I wanted to give up because every single day I woke up, every single moment, I would look at my life and I would be like, I'm waking up today and I'm trying to figure out what's going to go wrong. I'm waking up today and I'm not really being happy to be in this relationship, but I felt like a caged bird. I felt like I was in jail. I felt like I was stuck in that relationship for some reason. I just felt like I was like, maybe God is trying to show me a challenging moment. Maybe God is trying to show me that, it's a challenging time in this relationship, but there's still a reason for why you're being in this relationship. And for me, it got to a point where I was like, I don't see it anymore. But I stayed anyway. And I stayed in that relationship again, trying to provide happiness, again, trying to provide love, again, trying to provide a sense of security for someone who didn't know the definition of what none of these things really meant. And I say this very clearly. I now see and I now understand what go where you celebrate it, not where you tolerate it really means. It means that it's okay to walk away from situations that might have been the most damning, the most challenging, the most painful times in your life. And for me, it was a low point. For me, it was a low point. The reason why it was such a low point was because being in that relationship, I felt like it was nothing that I can do that was ever right. I felt like every single day I woke up and I was always asking myself the question, what am I going to do wrong today? I just didn't understand. I just didn't see it. And for me, I didn't understand it. I felt like I was doing everything right. I felt like I was showing love. I felt like I was showing compassion. I felt like I was showing everything this person needed to see. But I remember last year I watched this video. In the video, the young lady said, if you don't deal with your childhood traumas, your romantic relationship will. The video didn't speak to me until I started going through all the challenging moments, until I started going through those times where I wanted to throw the towel in. And I remember every single day I woke up. Every single day it might have started off great and it would end bad. It would end, Dame, you didn't do this. Dame, you didn't do that. And I would go to bed every single night crying. I would go to bed every single night crying. I would go to bed every single day trying to figure out, what can I do tomorrow? What can I do tomorrow to make things better? And I would try to be creative and I would try to do different stuff and I would try to go and get surprise gifts and I would try to go and do surprise dates and all this different type of stuff. But it was never enough, man. It was never enough. And that is why it is so important for you to sometimes walk away from situations. And I'm saying this months later. I'm saying this almost a year later. And I wish that I understood it. I wish that I saw it for what it was in the moment, but I didn't. But the thing about me now is like I see it. And I see it for what it is. And I understand what love is. And I understand what it means to be in a great relationship. I understand what it means to be with a person who might be toxic. I understand what it means to be with a person who may not value you, may not respect you, may not love you for who you are. And I'll never forget last year, in the moment, it was back in October, I'll never forget last year, when I came and I drove to Atlanta, Georgia to work on some motivational content. And I remember when I drove to Atlanta, Georgia, I was ready to work with my boy. Being in Atlanta that entire time, just ready to work on my craft, but also being with a person who every single day during that few days was just trying to tell me everything I was doing wrong, trying to tell me how bad of a boyfriend I was being. But sometimes when people tell you everything that you're doing wrong, the question is it really you or is it them? And I remember during that time when I was leaving Atlanta, Georgia, I remember when I was leaving and I called my girlfriend at the time and I was like, hey, I was hoping that I was going to get her, but she didn't pick up. And I remember when I called her again, she didn't pick up, and she like, hey, I'm on the phone, I'll call you back. And I was like, hey, I really need you. Like, I never say that to people. I never say like, hey, I really need you. And for me, when I say, hey, I really need you, that meant like I was at a low point. Like I was at a point during that moment where I felt like, yeah, we all got family, yeah, we all got friends, but I just felt like I was alone, man. I felt like I was alone from friends, from family. I felt like everyone was too busy for me, and the one person that I thought would have been there for me, the one person I thought who should have been there for me, wasn't there. Was too busy to talk to me, never called me back. And I remember when she finally called me back hours later, I was just driving back from Atlanta, Georgia, back to Columbia, where I was living at the time. And I remember doing that moment when I was driving back to Columbia, South Carolina. I kept looking at the side of the road, and I kept looking at all the trees, and I kept looking at all the ramps. And the crazy thing is, suicide is real. Mental health is real. And during that moment, I wanted to end my life, and I wanted to throw the towel in. And I wanted to throw the towel in because I felt like for me, there was no point to keep living. There was no point to keep living a life where I was preaching success. I was preaching the greatest things in life, and I was talking about the greatest things in life and how you should go after everything in life that you want. But I was living a life where I was drowning. I was living a life where I was mentally frustrated. I was living a life where I was mentally, physically, and just tired. I was tired of living. And I remember when I finally got the call from my girlfriend at the time, and I vented all of these things to her. I'll never forget when she said, okay, nah. And all she said was, okay. And she said, okay, what do you want me to do about it? And I was like, I just expect you to be a girlfriend. I just expect you to show me love, to say, hey, I'm here for you, to say, like, your love, to say that you're enough. They didn't get none of that. And here I am. I still saw the red flags. I still saw that me being in a relationship was not helping my mental health. Me being in a relationship was not the best thing that I should have been around at the time, but I still stayed in anyway. And some of you probably going to be listening to this video and say, well, Damian, why did you stay? I think I stayed because I thought I had to stay. I think I stayed because I thought it was right. I think I stayed because I was like, I can fix this. And a lot of times we sit in moments in our life and we say we can fix this. Reality is you fixed everything you can fix. It ain't nothing else you can fix. The only thing you can do is walk away. Walking away doesn't mean that you're doing that person wrong. Walking away doesn't mean that you're doing a disservice to that person. Walking away doesn't mean that you're throwing the towel into that person, to that relationship, to that moment in your life. Walking away means doing what's best for you. Walking away means living life for you, living life fully, because some people are still presently here, but they died 5 years ago. And for me, in that relationship, I was presently in a relationship, but mentally, I wasn't there. Mentally, I wasn't living. Mentally, I was just ready to throw the towel in. And this message is a message of hope. This message is a message of just showing you that it's okay to walk away. This message is a message to show you that you matter. This message is a message to say that you're loved, to say that you're cared about, to say that, yeah, we go through challenging moments, yeah, we go through hard times in our life, but it don't matter, man. What matters is that you live the life that's most authentic to you. What matters is that you live the life that's most vulnerable to you. And for me, I've realized from time, I realized from challenges, I realized from that moment of my life that you gotta walk away, man. Walk away that make you realize that maybe I'm not doing the best things. Maybe I'm not being a great boyfriend. Sometimes, yeah, we can do better. But if you're pulling out all the stops, if you're doing everything that you possibly can to show love, to show care, to show compassion, to show who you are, you're doing your thing. But the question is, if the person doesn't see, that ain't your person. And for me, I didn't realize it at the time. That wasn't my person. But I realize it now. And what I realize more than anything is the fact that I'm going to walk away from situations that I now am tolerated in. If I'm not celebrated in environments, if I'm not celebrated in moments, if I'm not celebrated in relationships, in spaces where I feel like I should be, then I'm walking away. And the biggest thing I want to tell you about this story is, yeah, I was ready to throw the towel in. Yeah, I was seconds away from throwing the towel in. Yeah, I wanted to throw my life away. And it wasn't because of a girl, but it was because I allowed my mental to get so low to the point that I felt like I had no purpose, that I had no worth. And the biggest thing I want to tell you guys, never allow yourself to get to that point. And it's easier said than done. I get it. It was easier for me to say, go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. I get it. But never allow yourself to lose yourself. Never allow yourself to get so low to the point where you start questioning yourself, where you're trying to figure out, what else can I do? What else can I do to make this person see me? Sometimes you're doing everything you possibly can. It just ain't your person. You got to walk into the season that's meant for your life. And if that season means walking away from everything that you thought was good, then that's cool. But walking away from that challenging moment is going to get you into the season that God has for your life.